Original footage. This video is, admittedly, hard to keep up with. The video is original footage from 1999 that was sent to a random station or address with no further information included. The quality is understandably low and glitches out several times. A general summary is that there's a group of what appears to be several teens drinking, chatting, and playing games. One of the games that gets pulled out is the Ouija board. Things are fine at first, and after playing with the board, a few clips pass and the doorbell rings. One boy, as well as the camera person, go to check the door and see no one is there. At first it seems like a case of ding dong ditch, but as they're standing at the front door, the bell begins to ring over and over again. The lights flicker as well, and the camera glitches severely.
The doorbell's ding. Jesus Christ!
After the terrifying incident, the group comes together to discuss what happened. Loud knocks can be heard from above or somewhere in the distance. The group travels through the house in several chopped up clips trying to locate the noise, but every time they're in one location, the noise can be heard in a different location.
Listen though, come again now. See, you hear that? And again? So, audience, whoever you are watching this, right now, I'm pretty much believing this house is haunted, and I'm pretty much believing we're experiencing it, yeah? A ghost situation.
The group even attempts to climb into the attic before the doorbell begins ringing again.
Hey man, again, see? How the f*** is that happening?
Once they're all inside, the doorbell ringing and knocking begins again. Another sound can be heard which sounds like a scratching or clicking.
What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that? Jesus!
A man follows his girlfriend everywhere with a camera to annoy her because he thinks it's funny. He was never expecting to have caught the scariest moment of his life on tape instead. A fully clothed figure reaches out for him after his girlfriend has left the room. When he pulls back the curtain, it's mysteriously gone. The paranormal moment looks scary, but I think there's a strong chance it's scripted. 38 seconds is when there could have been a jump cut. A jump cut is when they stopped recording, let the actress out of the shower, and start recording again to make it look like no one is there. Also, at 42 seconds, it doesn't look like the shower is on. This tape was found under a bridge somewhere in Russia. In it, a person is riding their bicycle while talking happily into the camera. If you speak Russian, please let me know what is being said here.
Всем привет. В общем, я сейчас нахожусь под...
Suddenly, their monologue is cut short by a shrill noise off camera.
Слышите? Ёпта.
It sounds like he is asking who is there, when suddenly the answer comes rushing up to him.
Кто это?
His screen becomes scrambled and the camera fades away. If this video is real, then I can't help but notice how the mutant shriek sounds almost human. I wonder how close this video was to the infamous site of the Chernobyl meltdown. What is this girl doing, and why does she look terrified? Originally posted by Chamak Car Church TV and shared by YouTube channel Kisa Weba, this scary video is currently trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. What is happening here? The most striking thing about this video, however, are her eyes, making her look extremely creepy. What do you think could be happening here? I think this individual might be possessed. Let's just hope she got the help that she needed. While staying at a hotel room in Ireland, Roisin O'Brien grabs her dad to show him something bizarre. A ghost is moving a cup on its own, she tells him. Of course, nothing happens and she looks like a total liar until suddenly...
That's freaky.
The cup moves all by itself to the edge of the glass shelf and then stops. There is no string around it that I can see, and besides, she is holding her phone and her dad is sitting on the bed clear across the room with his back turned, so no one was messing with it. She resets it, and as soon as she complains that it takes the ghost a long time, the cup moves instantly.
But like, it's taken ages for it to go, you see.
So let's just say there was string tied around the cup. Her father is now standing to the right of her, so if it was him, then the cup should pull to the right in his direction. Instead, it moves straight ahead and stops exactly on the edge of the shelf, same as before. The shelf is level and there is no moisture around the rim to make it slide like that. This is glass on glass, you can hear the friction.
Ages for it to go, you see.
She's right. The cup is moving on its own, maybe from a ghost. Two grown men are roaming the woods when they come across a creature that's making some very guttural warning noises. Suddenly, something wrapped in baggy robes lunges straight at them. As far as I can tell, only one of them makes it to the car, and then... I don't think it ends well. No other information on this video is available. If you're thinking of taking your motorbike down a dark, mainly deserted road at night, you'd better be ready for what comes next. Published to YouTube by Mumbiker Nikyle. To YouTube in December of 2014, another strange sighting was spotted while riding on a cold night. The uploader writes, I was passing by Erie Colony after midnight, and I would like to share the scary incident which took place. He notes in the video that the area is known for its ghost stories and scary people who lurk nearby. Nikyle says he wasn't sure if what he saw was a thief or a ghost, but whatever it was scary. Thieves and ghosts aren't the only scary things about Erie Colony. Located in India's Sanjay Gandhi National Park, Wikipedia warns against traveling the deciduous forest between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. as there are many feral pigs, stray dogs, and even leopards in the thick vegetation along the lonely roads. Worse, life takings are not uncommon in the area. Neither are occult practices. Ghost stories are widely circulated, with many claiming that spirits have tried to hitch rides in the night in this area. So yeah, why not take a ride down it? Though it is late, vehicles pass Nikyle by as he rides down the dark road. There are even people standing on the shoulder at some points. As he continues driving, darkness envelopes until he sees a man walking strangely in the middle of the road. He cries out as he almost collides with the man. But when he turns around, no one is there at all. He said he turned out of curiosity, but then realized the guy could be a thief, though he didn't see him anywhere in the darkness, so he sped off to live another day, and he says he's never returning to the area again after midnight. Would you? Based on what Wikipedia said, it's not a good idea. This is some of the most convincing footage I've seen in a while. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by AMRV_5, this poltergeist activity left this resident with more questions than answers. The Redditor explains that she's been living in this apartment with two roommates for months, and they've noticed that nothing seems to stay on the walls, from pictures to posters. Due to the home's age, they thought that a lack of insulation and drafts were causing tape and sticky tack not to stay put. After being gifted some original artwork, they put some framed pictures up on the walls with nails, but the very first night, both of the frames fell from the wall. This happened a couple of nights in a row. One night, one of the pictures started moving slightly, so the Redditor broke out her camera and captured this. The video shows the frame moving, just as they'd witnessed before. It happens several times, and then the rolling chair swivels around. No one is near it. The Redditor pleads, "Can anyone tell me what this is? What's going on here?" Well, some in the comments think there must be fishing line involved. Some are suggesting that perhaps an air vent came on. There is in fact a vent up in the corner of the room. Still, others think it could possibly be a paranormal entity. A second video seems to suggest it's the latter. In the video, the Redditor does a vent test to see if the heating cycle is causing any sort of disturbance to the frame. As she's standing there waiting for the heater to come on, a loud disturbance is heard outside her room. She heads over to investigate and finds a boot thrown on a stair below. As she's looking around, another loud bang is heard from back in her room. When she returns, the frame has fallen from the wall onto her desk. She notes that the air has not come on yet, while Redditors are convinced by the second video. Many are agreeing with then Safety 5971, who writes, "If it's fake, you still got me. What do you think? I can't think of any explanations outside of the paranormal." There's a video called "You Will Never Find Me" that was posted over 10 years ago on a channel called Waiting to Play, and I think it might be a bizarre project from someone out of their mind. Half of the video follows someone from a library to a parking lot, and then at 1 minute and 18 seconds, I think they are being chased while trying to call the authorities. It keeps cutting back to this random person rocking back and forth under some covers, presumably against their will, and then they are laying dazed on the ground, moving slowly as if they are barely conscious. A man in a white mask holds a hammer while kneeling over what appears to be a person, perhaps the very same person who was running away before, judging by their clothes. He holds up his sign and seems to silently brag about the fact that he's getting away with this. If this is real, it's more than a decade old, and since it's still online, it's either an art project or an obscure video that the authorities have yet to find. Hardly anyone wants to see a clown at the best of times. Guaranteed, no one wants to see an uninvited clown on their doorstep. Published to YouTube in August of 2019, this creepy clown is everyone's unwelcome guest. Residents of San Antonio, Texas likely double-checked their locks after video of this creepy visitor was captured on Ring surveillance footage. The clown was said to be loitering outside people's homes in the middle of the day saying trick or treat. Again, it was August at the time. The Ring footage captures the man wearing a clown mask approaching a home around 1 p.m. The anonymous homeowner wasn't present at the time of the clown's visit. The security video was shared to neighborhood groups, sending a collective chill down everyone's spine. Resident Ernest Marquez sums up the fear saying, "What his intentions were, I don't know. The uncertainty, the unknown is everyone's greatest fear. Hopefully this case was broken before it was too late." A very similar sounding shriek to the so-called cougar. This one claims the sound is coming from none other than a monster from traditional Latin America folklore known as La Llorona. According to legend, La Llorona was the unloved mother of her 2 sons. Her husband loved his sons more than her, and also had an affair with another woman, causing La Llorona to break. She is said to have taken the lives of her 2 boys in a river in a rage, following them in grief by taking her own alongside their bodies. Now she wanders the earth in search of the souls of her sons. The terrifying wailing of her grief is heard throughout Latin America. Those who hear her cries are said to face misfortune or even have their lives taken. So maybe just to be on the safe side, turn down the volume for this one. Published to YouTube in September of 2018, the horrifying demonic scream at the start of the video definitely doesn't sound human. In fact, it makes you want to urge whoever is filming to get someplace safe, fast. Instead, he films outside on the rain-filled streets at night as La Llorona screeches demonically in an animalistic cry. Shortly after, a more human-like woman's weeping is heard. The man approaches the phantom voice in the darkness. It's difficult to make out a figure in all this, but he speaks to her, and she responds, which makes one think this is a real human woman making these sounds, not La Llorona after all.
¿Tienes dulce?
Esposa.
¿Tu esposa?
After a while of the man chatting back and forth with her, and then answering his radio, the woman falls silent. Barry in the comments says, I understand Spanish. She seems to have multiple personalities. Was that inhuman sound made by a human person? Someone with multiple personalities? Perhaps someone possessed? Or is this La Llorona in the flesh? A group of friends are heading down the road. When they think they see something in the distance, they silently observe a small figure standing motionless just barely within sight. Listen to this part and translate if you can. Finally, they decide to take their chances and barrel past. Look closely and you'll see that the highway phantom is cloaked in a single white sheet. The stranger remains motionless as the bike passes, not even putting their hands up to protect themselves. This bizarrely calm reaction is not ordinary. It makes me think that this was in fact a real highway ghost encounter. A user named Josiah Worley has some of the best paranormal evidence on TikTok of a ghost haunting his room on the attic floor. He's recording his game table after a card leaped off the deck, and soon a cup is moving by itself. Or more accurately, a ghost is moving the cup if you ask Josiah. He handles the cup immediately after, and you can see there's no string. On another night, with one hand on the camera and the other hand on the mattress, Josiah watches an object move by itself.
Mom?
And later it crawls across the floor.
Bro. Are you good, bro? You good, bro? Do you see any strings? Did you guys see it move?
There are no editing cuts when he walks up to the medicine bottle. This object moved on its own. This happens night after night until finally he tries to communicate with the ghost. He makes the mistake of acting annoyed, which I think ramps things up considerably.
What's good? You're kind of making noises. You're kind of being really loud. It's really irritating. Okay.
In my opinion, the ghost wants nothing more than to be acknowledged, but Josiah wants nothing more than to be left alone. It's a conflict that's bound to create paranormal tension in the long run. The paranormal activity doesn't stop, and so he gets in the habit of recording his room all of the time.
It's almost sunrise. Almost sunrise. What was that? Where'd that go?
This ghost orb in particular curves around and appears in front of him when he wants to know what it is. The caption says maybe I should ignore it, but in my opinion that will only make things even more unpleasant for him in the long run. I think the ghost hates being ignored and is moving objects because it refuses to go unheard. I don't think it wants Josiah out of the apartment. When he says he's going to move out is when it becomes absolutely enraged.
I'm gonna end up leaving.
If anything, it wants him to keep it company forever. Josiah decides to use a ghost hunting TikTok filter called the reality ripple to finally catch a ghost sighting on his phone camera. It isn't long before objects are moving on their own again, and the colors on his screen change to indicate a ghost is near.
Do you guys hear that? No, that doesn't make sense. No, stop.
While looking at the still frame, gaze into the paranormal energy, you can see a yellow phantom figure reaching out. I've circled its head with long hair and pointed at its arm to help you better see it. The figure seems to be grabbing at the area where the object fell over. All of this creeps Josiah out badly enough to ask the ghost, point blank, to do something specific if he's safe.
I got one question for you. Am I safe? If I am, then please knock over the cups. Oh, you saw that.
A cup does not move by itself, but the ghost does push a bag off the table. This is definitely a reply, and I guess it means that he's not safe because it moves a different object than the one he asked it to. Ever since then, things have quieted down, so maybe Josiah just needed to ask for permission to live here, or maybe this strange and cryptic poltergeist is biding its time, letting him lower his guard before moving on to the next phase of his horrible haunting. Spirits seem to love to announce their presence by turning the lights on and off. Before we had flashlights, it was oil lanterns and candles. The scary phenomenon continues in a haunted house in South Wales when a spirit is told to show a sign. Startled, they investigate the incident by asking the ghost to communicate through this light. It's hard to tell from this creepy video if the flickering is a faulty wire or paranormal activity. A strange grin across his face at 1 minute and 47 seconds is a difficult response to read. A scared and nervous reaction is probably it. He's really being brave. Only a true ghost hunter can smile through their fear. There's something in this house, and they might be demons.
No. Hey! أعوذ بالله. أعوذ بالله.
The first one he captures on camera is pretty obvious, but he doesn't seem to see it. The second one is playing peekaboo.
Bismillah. 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 Hey!
And the last one.
أعوذ بالله.
Do you hear that roar? Well, I'm wondering what these creatures are. Most in the comments are chuffed at this dude's terrified scream. My vote is for demons, but it could be some other type of evil entity. Any ideas? Unknown creatures can be startling, but none more so than this one. This clip submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by KidRob97, wondering what in the heck this creature is. Suggestions in the comments range from a bat to a giant flying squirrel to a calago, which is a flying lemur. Knowing what it actually is wouldn't make this footage any easier to watch. The creature is making one of the most agonizing sounds the human ear has ever heard while it bounds across the ground, hopping and unable to fly. The people have somehow caught the animal, which is tethered to a stick. If you've never seen this type of creature up close, this isn't the way you'd want to encounter it. People in the comments wonder if the animal somehow got stuck on this branch. However, the poor creature ended up in this position. I think we can all agree with Lisa's Matrix that this is just heartbreaking. Antu Sikder celebrates New Year's Eve the paranormal way by making this scary ghost video in India, an exploration which turns out way scarier than any of them would have imagined. They're exploring some haunted places in the woods that have them on edge, but it's what they've caught on camera in the woods that leaves them stunned. Watch what happens while Antu conducts the investigation.
কি দেখতে পাই কিনা আমরা সত্যি আজকে ভূত দেখব সামনাসামনি দেখব আমরা ভূতের মোকাবেলা করব
Something strange rushes behind them and doesn't return. I would say that this is one of his friends, except the way it moves looks too creepy to not at least consider the paranormal. There's no bounce in their step at all, and I don't think it's anybody he recognizes later. It looks like an apparition gliding without a sound, and then mysteriously it disappears, presumably back into the haunted woods from where it came. Mysterious, unexplained lights were recently sighted over Brazil, just north of Rio de Janeiro. The diagonal formation of strange lights stretches into the night sky and blinks in and out of sight. It's not a constellation because there are no stars in the sky, just these strange, unexplained lights that slowly move to the right and glow a fierce red when the camera zooms in. As the camera moves across the city to show there are no stars, they see more strange lights in the sky. These ones closer to Earth, a large column of lights at 56 seconds that should not be there at all. It looks like it could be a building, but according to them it's not. More lights seem to drop and lower to the ground, but it's too far away to tell. When he zooms out, he is surprised to find most of the skylights are already gone. This happened on June 24th of 2020, and if you're wondering why I was never reported on the news, maybe it's because we were never supposed to find out.
Alcatraz.
A man is walking around the infamous Alcatraz when he picks up two possible paranormal encounters. I'll start with the weirdest one first. He is inspecting a roll of holding cells when a loud voice seems to call out to him with a single question. It sounds to me as if the deep voice is asking one simple word: why? The second possible encounter occurs as he is entering another part of the prison. Listen to this strange and haunting laugh. This one has a fairly reasonable explanation. Alcatraz is on an island, so maybe this was a bird call echoing off the prison's walls. I can't tell for sure, so let me know what you think about these two events. If you've lost a loved one, you might sometimes feel that their spirit is still with you, and if you're anything like TikToker E to the R to the ICA, you might find video proof that this is actually true. Erica R 1971 posted this ghostly video to the site writing, "So my security picked this up tonight. My dad passed on November 26th, and I wonder if it's him. The footage shows a ghostly figure pass by, floating casually past the security camera. The figure is white and vapor-like, appearing across the scene from right to left. If Erica is right, and this is in fact her father's spirit, what is he trying to tell her? Does he just want to comfort her by making his presence known? It does not look like CGI to me, so I think this video is 100% real. In Erica's place, would you feel comforted by a ghost?" Alex Paranormal is a British paranormal investigator who was asked by a fellow ghost hunter to verify the house was haunted after some paranormal activity happened to him. At 4 minutes and 22 seconds, his meter detects some paranormal wavelengths along an overturned mattress.
If we want us to go, flash device to orange.
They respect its wishes and walk away. Next few rooms feel normal, but look what happens at 5 minutes and 55 seconds.
I feel like someone just touched my leg.
Just red, mate.
You can see he feels something touch his leg at 6 minutes, a full 3 seconds before the meter goes off. So he felt something touch his leg first and then the meter confirmed. And that's not all that happens to Alex in this room.
Hello? Can you flash the device again if you're here with us? That's crazy, isn't it?
A shadow person is in the glass. Look again.
Hello? Can you flash the device again if you're here with us? That's crazy, isn't it?
The rest of the house doesn't have much activity, so they return to the overturned mattress because it's the only place where their meter went off. It still seems to not want to talk. Then it seems to mock him by repeating the last phrase of his question as soon as he says it.
How many spirits are here?
That's when Alex feels something touch him again and the camera goes out of focus and stays out of focus as something enters the room to stand with them.
Did someone touch my leg?
And look what happens when they try to refocus it. The camera can focus on their hand no problem, but stays out of focus with the rest of the room. More proof something else is here.
You put your hand in front of it, Mike. Is that you touching the camera?
When they try the spirit box in the bathroom, they record only a yell. The only area left is the basement, but Alex quickly comes back upstairs after something brushes by him again. They set up the spirit box at the top of the steps and get a woman's voice, perhaps the same spirit who was yelling before. She calmly gives some unnerving advice in a reassuring voice.
What the?
They remove all of their equipment from the meter just in case it was messing up their readings, and then they ask again.
If you want us to leave, flash that device to red.
Yeah, look, red, mate. You said a minute ago, turn it to red if you want us to leave.
There's no way for them to be faking this that I can tell. Alex Paranormal immediately turns off the video. That's not the only time they've had direct interaction with spirits, and I'm confident it won't be the last if they keep exploring places like this in the future. This rare Russian creature is being called everything from a mole to a troll. The phone quality is too poor to make out much more than a tiny humanoid hand and a small face. Whatever this is, it doesn't behave much like a mole, which I doubt would stay above ground with two humans so close. Anyway, try to translate this conversation if you can, and let me know if they ever say what kind of creature this is.
Quantos saíram? Só Aí pra trás tem mais quantos? Cela 4 e a ala.
Bora, bota a cara pra cima aí.
At the 15-second mark, you can see its hand more clearly, and it does look like it could have a well-developed thumb, which would exclude it from belonging to most species. With that said, I think it could perhaps be a baby possum, which do have opposable thumbs and sometimes like to burrow underground. I could be wrong though, and even after almost 100,000 views, nobody seems to have come up with a concrete answer. A user named Dolphin Treasure posted this on the Chills Narrator subreddit. After her dog Bandit started really freaking her out, Bandit keeps staring up and growling at something it perceives as a threat in an otherwise quiet, normal-looking room.
Bandit, what's bothering you?
There's a lot of memorabilia that could be bothering her dog, so one by one, she takes items off of her shelf to show. It's also worth noting that this dog has never behaved this way at any of these items on the shelf before, and was sitting peacefully in her lap moments before.
Is that who you're barking at? No? My gosh, dude, you are freaking me out.
After a while, she concludes it's nothing on the shelf, but rather something up higher, like on the ceiling. But there's nothing up there that I can see that would hold a small dog's attention for so long, especially with such steadfast conviction. As the name of his YouTube channel would suggest, Abroad in Japan provides helpful advice meant for anyone planning an extended stay in the country of Japan. Chris has lived there for over 7 years, and most of his videos deal with common topics, such as cultural differences and spending tips. 2 videos in particular, however, chronicle his experiences with Japan's supernatural. October 16th, 2018 is when Chris bikes with his friend Joey in search of an eerily abandoned tunnel that's rumored to be haunted. They don't know much about its history, but one look at how narrow it is, and it's hard to imagine a car squeezing through. The tunnel was apparently abandoned after too many lives were ended by unsafe driving. Now it lies on the side of the mountain, becoming more overgrown with each day. The first thing they notice is this strange human-like imprint on the wall, perhaps the spirit of someone who lost their life here. It's looking up towards the sky, and pale skin. Even the flowing sleeves of her dress are visible. It creeps them out and makes them want to get this over with so they can leave. As they are contemplating what all of this means, their camera records even more evidence that something is nearby. It's a soft voice whispering something in Japanese. Tell me if you can understand. I think it's real because the voice echoes off the tunnel walls. The exit is only a short distance away, so there's no big dramatic dash to safety or anything like that. They are suitably freaked out by now, and when they go to leave, this mysterious third person, shadow figure to be precise, is waiting for them at the end. Oh, and there's one other odd discovery in the haunted tunnel that I forgot to mention. I don't even want to know what this mysterious device was used for. It looks like it goes around a wrist or on an ankle and doesn't come off. So as strange as this paranormal encounter was, it was only scary enough to teach Chris his lesson for a year or 2. February 16th, 2020 is when Chris stayed in Japan's most haunted hotel, a place known only as the Ryaku Fuso Inn. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been roaming the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost. And by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. This is where the spirit of a young boy has been haunting the wealthiest people in Japan for over 600 years. That's a long time to be a troublesome little ghost, and by now he's gotten pretty good at his job, so what Chris sees that night should come as no surprise. He and his friend wait until after hours to visit the memorial, where the boy is said to frequent, a shrine built in his name to keep him from becoming evil and cursed. I think I see the outline of a boy looking at them in the blue window above as one of them kneels down at the altar. And they must have done something wrong because this happens.
It's a bit creepy, isn't it?
Not only does a child scream, but a face appears over his shoulder shortly afterwards. They go back to their hotel room afterwards and don't think much of it, but the next day, Chris's friend reports an encounter that really troubles him. It seems as if they could have been followed after all.
Like, I couldn't move my body, and I heard someone, like, kind of standing on my chest, and then and he or she, whoever, touched my cheek.
I'm not sure if this last part is a paranormal encounter or sleep paralysis, condition in which people are unable to move and often think they see a shadow figure moving towards them. A YouTuber named Daniel finds a graveyard that is different than most others. It is in a bad state of disrepair, but beyond that, some of the graves are just plain missing.
Doesn't look like it's 6 feet deep either.
The graves could have simply been relocated, but if that were the case, then I think that the grave sites would have been filled back in. For some reason though, this graveyard has perfectly dug up graves with absolutely no evidence of a burial. There's no casket and no headstone. It's not like these plots were recently dug for a future burial either. Vegetation is slowly creeping back over them, and they are covered with a light bed of dry leaves. Whatever the explanation for the absence of these graves, one thing is for sure, clearly a lot of time has passed since they've been uncovered. You have to see to believe, even if it kind of makes you nervous. Posted in August of 2011, YouTuber Dennis Farmer wrote, "Face in the clouds before a storm in Grand Falls, New Brunswick. The cloud formation, at first natural, turns into something quite uncanny. A storm is billowing overhead, and then this distinct face in the clouds appears. You can see the profile quite clearly, nose, brow, eyes, lips, even cheekbones. As the cloud face evolves slightly, it looks as though the face is aging. You can almost see a beard growing, while the man filming this enigma drives to continue capturing it. It's pretty astounding, and those in the comments agree. Some say it's smiling, others say it's screaming, and others say it makes them nervous. Whatever expression this face is taking on, most agree that it's simply amazing. What do you think?" It's 3 in the morning when a YouTuber named QTube hears a knock at his door. He begins recording for his own safety and debates whether or not he should even look outside. Whoever knocked must have immediately ran away and left a package for him to open, which he soon does. I was half expecting some kind of rigged device or something like that, but what's really inside is just as weird. If this video is to be believed, then someone woke up QTube in the middle of the night for no other reason than to give him a pizza box with a gummy pizza inside. It's either the work of someone with a bizarre sense of humor or else totally insane. The whole event leaves QTube cautious and confused. Prank or not, he doesn't exactly seem thrilled about being the target of someone in the middle of the night, and I can't say I blame him. Let me know if you think this was just a harmless joke, or if the next home delivery is going to be much worse.
Hey Michael, is that you?
This video, known to most only as Michael Is That You, has gone viral and spawned a ton of rumors and re-uploads. People are trying to figure out what this creature is and if it's ever been sighted before. One rumor is that the eyes look similar to a February 11th, 2013 rake sighting video taken from somebody's backyard deep in the woods.
Dude, there's some glowing eyes right there.
The eyes are the same color and similarly spaced apart. It also holds its head roughly at the same angle, and like the Michael Is That You video, the eyes never once blink. On April 11th, 2013, there was a second rake sighting from the same person. And once again, this does look similar to 3 seconds into the Michael video where the creature first turns around. Although this 2013 sighting remains an unsolved mystery to this day, the same cannot be said for the Michael Is That You video. I've gotten a lot of requests to analyze this scary video, so I did some digging and here's my final analysis. While this video looks convincing it's not real, I did some research and was able to track down the original upload to a channel called Zulu Bao Productions. I know this is the original video because it's the only upload that shows exactly how it was made in a 3D rendering program. You can see the creature itself, which isn't so scary, once it stands up straight and loses those glowing green eyes. Once he does make the arms super long and thin, and folds it into an unnatural position in the corner of the room, do we get the creepy mysterious creature that went viral, added detailed skin texture, and we're back to horrifying. I just wanted to give credit to Zach of this channel because so many people asked me to cover this video that I knew I had to find the original source and dispel the rumors. So the next time you see this video somewhere on the internet, you'll know it was fake. This was just something Zach did for fun and practice, in his own words, on December 18th, 2019. He never expected it to go viral, but appreciates the recognition. I think he did a very convincing job, so good of a job that it is still sparking rumors and making its rounds on the internet to this day. A garbage man in New York City leaked this video online to show us a scary side of the industry that we were never meant to see. He needs to pull this dumpster down an alley to the garbage truck. Most of us would walk right up and grab the handle, but the veteran worker does something important first. He kicks the dumpster and waits. That's because out here you can get surrounded by a mob of rats. If you walk up to their territory without giving them a heads up, kicking makes them scatter away.
Come on, bro. Come on. Get your stuff together and get out of here. Get all your boys. Get all your boys, let's go. Yeah.
This dumpster must not have much food in it because only a few run away instead of dozens like normal. Now comes the hard part.
Now we're going to attempt to move the can.
He gives a sharp tug and lets go. When nothing confronts him, he proceeds. He gets halfway down the alley when something creepy decides to make his day twice as difficult.
Still. Come on, bro. You gotta go. Can't go back in there.
This one is smaller than the rest, but it's stuck around longer than the others and seems twice as territorial. It starts to run away and then it gets another idea. I'm not sure if he fell over or dropped the camera, but the rat, scared and caught up in the moment, jumped straight at him. It looks like an aggressive move rather than just trying to get away. That rat did not want to give up its dumpster. This is why garbage men are paid more than teachers. Jokes the top comment of this video. I'm not sure if this statement is true, but after seeing this video, do you agree with it or not? And if this is how crazy just one rat acts, imagine how scary it would be to get chased down an alleyway by a whole swarm of them. Talk about a tough and thankless job. Damon and Sean are walking around outside when they come across a huge open sewer pipe in the middle of nowhere. They don't think much of it until something weird starts to happen.
I think there's like somebody down there. What the f***? Dude, it's creeping me out.
Sean goes to the other side of the pipe to see if he can determine the source of the banging. Soon, he comes back and says that he couldn't see anything on the other end.
Yeah, but usually there's like two at a time. See? Did you hear that?
If there is any technical reason for a sewer pipe to be banging in sets of two like that, then I'd like for someone to please explain. Otherwise, there's no way to tell who or what was making all that racket down there. A fearless ghost hunter named Hassan Barbar takes on a demon in its own home in one of the creepiest paranormal explorations I've seen in a while. First is Snapchat filter, which uses facial recognition technology, detects a ghost right in front of him, though I suspect it might be falsely detecting a face from this square on the wall. But what the filter could possibly mistake for a face here at 3 minutes and 37 seconds, I have no idea. Maybe it is a ghost. A bizarre trail of flashing dog images does seem to lead him to the real thing, and the extra creepy stuff is all caught on camera.
الوضع جدا مخيف. هاي والله فيش.
The demon is in a small cramped room with no exit, and so Hassan Barbar fearlessly charges forward, fearing no demon. He is expected to have caught it up close on camera, but instead the small room is mysteriously empty, despite there being no other path for it to have escaped through besides the doorway through which he came.
عطول وينه؟
He follows the Snapchat filter back to the mysterious square wall, and that's when he sees it again.
طب خليك طب بدي احكي معك انا بدي احكي معك.
He runs outside only to find the demon has disappeared from the other side of the wall. The Snapchat taunts him with further positives for a facial recognition.
لازم نحكي معاه. وين بروح وين بيختفي مش عارف. هاي في اشي حتى هون.
He goes to where the figure was just standing and looks through the wall inside. Sure enough,
طلع 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 في شي جنبه زي نار.
by now he understands that this jinn can teleport easily and will not be caught today because it simply does not want to be. He leaves for now, sure to be back another day with a plan to draw it even closer next time for a better look at its gruesome face. The grounds where a double life-taking has occurred is no place to be at night. The guys in this video learned that the hard way. Published to YouTube by the Valspire family in October of 2017, this ghost investigation has all the right ingredients for fear: a storm, an abandoned house at night in the middle of the woods, and a Ouija board. The host, Aiden, says the house has a super creepy backstory and is said to be haunted. The story goes that two male lovers built a mansion up in the woods. As such things weren't accepted at the time, the men had their lives taken in this home. The suspects received life sentences in 1982. But the fact that the police investigation turned up occult tools and books, along with the macabre decor of the home, turned the event into a media circus. The men were labeled devil worshippers. And now back to this video. The ghost investigators leave their house at midnight in a storm, planning to arrive at Corpsewood Manor at 3 a.m. They drive into the woods and then set out on foot on the path, not sure where they are, ready to get lost. They arrive at a fork in the road and finally find their way to the abandoned manor. Aiden hears a grumbling, which he admits may be thunder.
I heard like a grumbling, but that might have been thunder.
He says that his camera, with its full battery, keeps shutting off every time they attempt to start with the Ouija board. At 3 in the morning, they begin asking the Ouija board if anyone had their life taken there. Nothing happens, but they do hear something in the vicinity. Aiden says that he wants to go check it out and thinks it sounded like someone walking.
I heard something over there.
Jared is freaked out, hearing another sound in the trees. He thinks it was probably the wind.
Dude, I heard something.
No, you did not.
They decide to leave because Jared can't take it anymore. Can you blame him? Aiden recalls that when he sat at the Ouija board and opened up the portal to the spirit world, he forgot to say goodbye, and he claims that ever since then, weird stuff has been happening. All I know is that place seriously seemed haunted.
A YouTuber named Mama Owl Paranormal has 2 odd CCTV home videos that I wanted to review. It's midnight when her dog Bossy wakes up right as an orb floats by, followed by 2 more, all traveling in the same direction. Exactly 20 seconds later is when the dog looks over where the orbs just were. Bossy is looking at the wardrobe where a spirit is possibly thought to be watching them. Earlier that day, Bossy had become fixated on this area of her room in particular. I think she's tracking something here, possibly something paranormal. Watch the dog's reaction as she comes out of the room. I feel like the dog is trying to warn her that this room doesn't feel safe. Notice how there are no orbs in this video, even though it's in the same room, so I don't think the orbs from the nighttime video were dust.
Alex Griffin runs a sports channel nowadays, but years ago he was briefly into conducting paranormal investigations at the most haunted places he could find. One such foray was the exploration of Borley Church, a place where organs are said to play by themselves and chanting can be heard from inside. There's also the ghost of Katie Borham, a housemaid who was said to have lost her life under mysterious circumstances that could have involved unknowingly ingesting toxic chemicals. Katie is the ghost they are hunting tonight, and so Alex Griffin and his friends logically start exploring the old haunted cemetery for paranormal evidence. They make the mistake of disrespecting her name along the way and start hearing some scary noises soon after.
I don't know what to say.
Shut up, Katie. Katie!
What the What the
The amateur investigators run away at first, but soon agree that they can't leave the mystery unsolved and need to find more paranormal evidence. They return to the cemetery and the bravest of them steps forward to taunt Katie into showing herself.
See? What happened again?
so I didn't see anything, but he senses a ghost and I tend to believe him. After all, he was the one trying to impress his friends the hardest, so I don't think he'd run away like that and risk embarrassing himself unless he was really scared. The paranormal investigators step forward as one, and a single light glows in the woods even when their camera is not shining on it. It's not exactly the best paranormal evidence ever recorded, but the timing is definitely odd and makes you wonder what this light could be. And with their backs turned, the noise returns.
You're sleeping tonight, mate.
It sounds like one of them would have thrown a rock or something and hits the top of the tin roof. But then again, this is exactly the kind of paranormal activity that this place is known for. It's years later and not one of them stepped forward to take credit for throwing a rock and scaring the group, so maybe this supposed paranormal activity is real after all. Dennis and Tim of Nerve Paranormal return to the Atkinson Manor to see if there's anything they've missed their first time around. There certainly is something they've missed before, and it definitely does not miss them. They are first greeted by a stuffed animal that I don't think was there before. It looks much less dusty than the steps around it, and therefore was probably put there recently. Nerve Paranormal could have put that there themselves though, so even though it's creepy, it's also easily disproven. Less easy to disprove, however, is when they hear this commotion while holding a spirit box session. It sounds like something runs up the steps moments before the door opens, yet no one is there. When they return downstairs, they find this blue kid's chair, shown briefly at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, is now part of a neatly arranged circle at 17 minutes and 30 seconds. Just as they are wondering how the chairs got this way, they get their answer. This still frame, taken in a flash of his camera at 17 minutes and 44 seconds, shows the chairs 1 second before they pull away. You can see no strings running on the floor whatsoever. I don't see how this is possible unless they put magnets on the bottom of these chairs and slid them across the ground from one floor below, which requires 4 different people and a lot of effort. Instead of running away to somewhere safe, they stand their ground, which seems to make the ghost of the manor grow even more displeased. Then again, this object just so happens to be within kicking distance of the cameraman, so maybe he did it himself and then acted surprised. When Tim and Dennis decide to leave a minute later, they hear 4 footsteps and the doors open. This could be a spirit or it could be their friends. I think it could be real considering they eventually chose to escape off the roof and risk falling to get out of there. Filming in St. Augustine at night would usually mean loads of traffic and a hopping nightlife. But considering what's going on in the world today, YouTube channel Hunting the Dead arrived at an eerily empty street in the usually bustling city in May of 2020. This is part 2 of the channel's Paranormal Encounter series in St. Augustine. According to the team, the spirit of a boy named James likes to come to this area and sit up in a tree in Tolamato Cemetery on Cordova Street. Jody also claims you can hear the boy's mother call him on occasion. The history behind this ghost? During the 19th century, 5-year-old James Morgan would always climb the old oak tree here, which stood 3 stories tall. Sadly, in 1877, he fell from the tree and lost his life. He was buried in the graveyard below. His family had purchased several plots around the boy's grave, but being so grief-filled, they ended up leaving St. Augustine and never came back, leaving James's grave in isolation. Perhaps it's this loneliness that keeps little James's spirit from moving on. Ghost tour guide Dion Moore claims to have seen the boy in the tree on 2 occasions, once in person while giving a guided tour, and once via a photo taken by a young girl on his tour. Moore said, "There is such a thing as energy. Energy never goes away." Let's see what kind of energy is alive in the cemetery. Apart from EVPs, some of the photographic evidence of this site will make your skin crawl. Jody captured a shadow figure in his photograph of the hanging tower platform looking down at them. He calls it the Goat Man picture because the figure appears to have 4 legs. His wife Alicia caught something even more frightening. When taking photos at the entrance, she captured this evil-looking mask-like face glaring back at her. Would you dare enter the haunted Tolomato Cemetery? With the sordid history and the paranormal energy that appears to exist there, I don't think I would have the guts to enter. Multiple instances of objects moving on their own has a YouTuber named Callum Tonner convinced that his Seattle house is haunted by a fearsome poltergeist. Lots of bizarre activity is frequently caught on camera, so I'm going to analyze the top 5 videos of best paranormal evidence. In the first weird video, he claims to find a coat hanger swinging back and forth in the closet. I will say that they could have pushed the object themselves before recording and then pretended it was a ghost. Normally I would say this video is fake, except this is far from the only scary event in which objects were caught on camera moving on their own. And the other videos are much harder to explain. Later that night, with the haunted closet behind him and its doors open, a completely different object is caught moving on camera on its own.
What was that?
Even if you were moving a magnetic object under the table, I still don't think it would be strong enough to move the other objects through the heavy wooden desk. He creates the paranormal experiment again 4 nights later, and if you weren't able to tell what the 2 objects are, it's a flashlight moving across a phone that's turned on. And here's the thing, any magnetic force strong enough to move an object that large should also cause damage to the phone, which it doesn't. The phone is fine, and therefore I think a ghost is moving the flashlight. 4 more nights later, the ghost has apparently taken to shuffling through his private card collection. And even more haunting paranormal activity is caught on camera without any explanation. If you were thinking that he bent the cards or something to make them fall over, but not what's happening, you can see more of the cards in this video. They look perfectly straight and evenly balanced, so tell me how these sturdy objects are caught on tape moving. Paranormal activity is all I can think for these super creepy and mysterious events, but I'm open to any other explanation. If you're looking for a haunted location, your best bet is to choose somewhere with a scary history. Steve Ronan, an American urban explorer, traveled to the United Kingdom to investigate a Victorian-style mansion believed to be the site of a gruesome taking of life. Despite its longevity, the event took place in 2006 when then homeowner Christopher Lumsden ended his wife's life in a jealous rage. She had allegedly just returned from dinner with her lover when the incident occurred. Despite the viciousness of the event, Lumsden only served 5.5 years when he was released on license, the British legal system's equivalent of parole. Intrigued by the story, Ronan decided to investigate at the home in order to see if he could come up with answers. Upon arrival, the front of the house is littered with large trash, including several beds, some broken walls, and what appears to be clothing. At the time the video was filmed, renovations were ongoing to prepare the house to be put up for sale. It is unknown if the trash was from the house itself or was left there randomly, but it would be strange if so many pieces of clothing were left behind. The first bit of the video is Ronan and his team exploring the house, finding it in a state of disrepair. At one point, they find a strange piece of wallpaper on the floor. The same system is seen covering the walls of a room. Written on it are various strange phrases, including Carpe Diem Dungeons Fire, Jungle Truth or Dare Power. What this means is a mystery, and it's a strange design to have as a wallpaper. Things quickly take a turn for the creepy when they find a red stain on the floor of one of the rooms in front of a dresser. On closer inspection, it is a sizable red blot stained into the floorboard that was once beneath the now torn up carpet. It definitely is believable that it's what we're all thinking. since the coloration does resemble when such a stain has aged over time. One of the crew decides to shine a UV light on the spot. As he explains, the spot remains visible as a dark purple under the light, instead of blending into the floor. Also, while it is not mentioned, there are spots that weren't visible when the light wasn't on. Going off the find, they decide to begin a spirit box session in the room. The method they use is simple, as they find a radio and rapidly shift through the channels. After a couple of questions and one false alarm, a voice comes through the static saying you were tricked.
You were tricked. Did you just hear you were tricked?
This is strange, as immediately before that, they were discussing whether or not they were deceived into believing another house entirely was the location of the gruesome life-taking. At the beginning of the video, they spoke with a security guard of another residence who claimed the occupied house was the actual location of the incident. However, they were not allowed in and went to this house nearby that is also said to be where the incident happened. Could it be possible they are communicating with something who knows they were tricked? The group hears various answers come through the radio, although admittedly it is hard to hear whether it is actually something answering them or simply words from the radio programs coming through and sounding like answers. Next, the group decides to conduct an EVP session to see if they can hear anything else. During the session, the group hears noises and something like shuffling is picked up on the EVP. At this time, nobody in the room is moving or talking. They also hear something that sounds like chewing or moving their mouth. After asking a question, some sort of faint whisper can be heard right before the next question is asked.
If so, who was the one who murdered you?
Unfortunately, it's too difficult to decipher what, if anything, is being said, as it is too quiet. After nothing else seems to come through, finally the group uses an actual spirit box, which automatically and rapidly changes stations so quickly you can't hear what is being said by the program. Ronan asks if anyone can tell what happened and if there was an event of a life being taken. Soon after, a voice comes through with what sounds like yes, immediately followed by what sounds like someone died. Soon, a male voice comes through with what Ronan thinks sounds like wasn't me.
There's so much activity now.
The moment that is guaranteed to send chills down your spine is when a woman, either laughing, crying, or possibly screaming, can be heard. The investigation wraps soon after, and Ronan leaves with what could be considered valuable evidence. The event that occurred in the home has left an imprint, and not just the stain on the floor.